In this video, I'm going to share my answer to the question, what do I need to know about the archetypes of my ideal clients? But before we do that, I have a very serious question. What do we think of this hat? It was $4 at a thrift store. I can't decide if it's a keeper or not. Let me know in the comments what you think of this hat. All right, anyway. This question gets asked, I don't know, at least once a month in my In-Demand Brand free Facebook group. If you're not a part of that group, definitely check out the link in this description so that you can ask your own brand questions and meet all of the fellow incredible humans that are in that group. So let's talk about it. If you've been in my orbit for any length of time, you know that I love brand archetypes as a tool to create clarity and focus and certainty in who you are as a brand, whether you're a solopreneur, a personal brand, or if you're running a big team. Knowing what your primary and secondary archetypes are fantastic for filtering and focusing on how you're connecting with people on an emotional level. It creates this subconscious knowing of what you stand for and what role or what character you're playing in your ideal clients' lives. So naturally, a lot of my students and clients will then ask me, okay, Kaye, what happens, or like, who are my ideal clients then? Are they the same archetype as me? Do I need to define what archetype they are? So let's dive in to that question here in this video. By the way, if you're new here, be sure to hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up. If you are building a brand, hit the like button, and hopefully I will show up in your YouTube recommended videos more often. Okay. My overarching stance on this question is that you do not need to focus on which archetype you think that your ideal client is. And I have a very particular reason for this. See, when I first started my brand or my business, I thought that I needed to be something for other people, that I needed to change who I was to show up like other successful humans, generally to be liked by the market. And this kind of neediness is smelled and sniffed out by humans without us even trying. It just happens unconsciously whenever anybody is showing up with that vibe of like, I'll be whoever you want me to be. It doesn't work, right? So we don't ever want to try to change who we are, what our natural strengths are, what our strongest personality traits are, to try to be more like our ideal client. The thing is, by knowing what our primary and secondary archetypes are, we need to have security in the knowing that all 12 of the brand archetypes are connected to core and universal human values. So every human desires love, which is primarily shown by the lover archetype. All humans desire belonging, which is primarily communicated by the girl or guy next door archetype. All humans desire achievement on some level, which is the hero archetype, etc., etc., etc. So there's no wrong combination of archetypes for you to be. It's more important that you are being your truest self, that you're not trying to put a mask on, that you're not trying to bend over backwards to be something for your clients that you aren't naturally. If I tried to show up as the maverick archetype, you guys would run for the hills. You would not put up with that because it is so far from my natural personality. I am not the disruptor. I am not the like the volcano type of personality. I am not breaking down the systemic problems to rebuild new ones. It just isn't who I am. I am all about future transformation. I'm about research. I am the magician and I am the sage. I am not the maverick. So even if I perceived that my clients wanted me to be that, or that I thought that I should be that for some reason, it wouldn't work as well as when I'm being my best self. I also like to share the analogy, which I affectionately call the playground theory. So back when we were living in Italy, I have this little story that I'm going to share with you, that I was at the playground on the military base, which was affectionately that we called, or kind of cheekily we called, like Little America. It was this gated community that felt like America, even though we were living in Italy. And we could have chosen to live on the military post, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to be immersed in the Italian culture. So we lived with our Italian neighbors, like in an Italian community, and it was amazing. And I miss it. And I left half of my heart there. But fast forward to us being on post, we were picking up some groceries from the American store because it was one of the few places that you could get peanut butter and some of the other things that my children like to eat. And I was overhearing two other mothers that were also at the playground with their children talking about how grateful they were that they lived on post, because the driving off of post was crazy and they hated the inconvenience of not knowing the language. They couldn't ever get the food that they wanted, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, they wanted to stay enclosed into this little safe community that they lived in, and they hated going outside. So me overhearing them, like them showing up and being their true selves, I was able to quickly make that decision that, oh, our values aren't aligned, our lifestyles aren't aligned, our identities aren't aligned, they're not my people. And we want to have that same certainty in what we believe when we're showing up on social media. So we want to unapologetically show up as ourselves, because the right people are going to self-select in, and the people who aren't a good fit for our brand are going to be repelled. And that's a natural part of being who you are in your brand that is going to powerfully work for you. And even if your clients, again, aren't like strongest in your top 2 archetypes, it doesn't mean that they're not attracted to that certainty. So because we know that humans respond to all of these different archetypes, regardless of the ones that they are, and that we're repelled by people who are shapeshifters or who aren't clear on who they are, we come to the natural conclusion that it doesn't matter so much who your clients are or what their primary archetypes are, but focusing on your own, staying in your lane. I will tell you that I probably have a increase, or like a higher percentage of fellow magicians and fellow sages that I work with, that buy my courses, that I work with one-on-one, etc. However, I have worked with every archetype across the entire spectrum, and I have loved all of my clients for all of their amazing uniqueness that they bring to the world, and your clients will feel the exact same way.